wasn't happy in my life, no clarity on direction in my life, what I wanted to do. All I knew is just I was miserable. I hated my job and I hated everything. I wanted to change everything and I wanted to feel happy and peaceful.
You have a big part in creating this experience, and you can also have a choice and create a different experience.
I'm like a newborn person. You can decide how you want to look at life, and it's also you trying different things. If you feel like this is something that's calling you, then just don't listen to your fears. Your fears will try to stop you from change and from doing something different. Try to really listen to what your inner voice saying. So if you really call to it, do it and you won't regret it.
Well, welcome, sister. So good to have you here. And this is really a moment of celebration and culmination of your journey. Thank you so much for accepting this invitation to share your story and to share your journey, because I think a lot of people have no idea, what psychedelic therapy, psychedelic integration means really, and how does that look like, how does that translate in somebody's life. So I'm really excited, to share some perspective from an insider journey. And yeah, thank you so much for doing this. Your journey was, quite a while. We started in 2012. We finished 15 months later, the beginning of September 2023. So just for people to understand that what we're going to talk about, this kind of transformation happened over a period of time. Some people say that's a long time. I think it's relative, compared to what it's long or short. But just to say that it was over a 15 months period, and during this time you had 48 individual sessions, in our personal container to help you, to support you on this journey. So the first thing I'm curious about, if you can share a little bit with us, that can you recall that at the beginning when you connected with me, when you came to the program, where were you in your life? What was happening in your life at that point? And what is that you wanted to change and why?
Obviously I wasn't at that point, wasn't happy in my life. I wasn't sure what I wanted. There's definitely like no clarity on like direction in my life, what I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. All I knew is just I was miserable and I hated my job and I hated everything. And I just wanted to change. I wanted to change everything and I wanted to feel happy and peaceful and not feel like life is shit and there's nothing really there. um, and and I guess one of the biggest things that I wanted is just to know myself more. That was one of the biggest goals that I had, because I realized one day that I don't even know what my favorite color is. So yeah, at the point, uh, it seems not a long time, but to me it feels like it's been like 10 years ago. Yeah, it was just complete uncertainty and just very, not the bottom yet, but it was pretty dark and depressing and just unhappy with everything. And I just wanted to know if there's another way or if there's more to life than just existing.
Wow. Yes. Thank you so much. I have a lot of people actually come, with similar intentions and who feel, same way as you. And I'm sure that a lot of our listeners can relate to those feelings of hopelessness and depression and confusion and not knowing, what to do. But the only thing, that you don't want to continue like this, right? That something needs to give, something needs to change. And that's when new doors open for us, and we start to do this work. So at the beginning of your process, so we did a good couple of weeks, almost 2 months preparation before you went for an ayahuasca ceremony. And after the ceremony, just to make it clear for people, we had a year-long kind of integration container when you received this support and guidance. And at the beginning of the journey, because how this medicine works is just obviously we'll bring up from the past, what we carry and what is not serving us anymore, so we can, look at them and let them go with gratitude. So that's really the first phase of the process. And this part for everybody is always around past stuff, what happened, certain things that happened in the past, and to revisit places and to make things, put them to rest, so to say, and make peace, with ourselves, with our past. Can you recall, that at the beginning, what were those things from your past in particular that kept coming to you and bringing, information and guidance about your journey?
Sorry, could you clarify what do you mean, like things from our past? Like,
Yeah, like a lot of people, we say that part of the healing process is freedom from the past, right? When we kind of heal past trauma or things that went wrong in the past, we can somehow correct it, in the present moment. And, we all have things, that we need to deal with. So oftentimes when we embark on this journey of self-discovery and healing, the first journey, the first trip that we take is into the past, to look at certain things and to deal with certain things that were not dealt with. And a lot of the things comes from childhood, right? A big part of this work is inner child work, dealing with emotions from the past and that kind of stuff. So what I was curious about, how did this manifest for you in general, and what happened to you, in that first few months after the ceremony?
yeah, so, I never was, I won't want to say connected to my emotions, but I was always suppressed them, and that was how I grew up and how I was raised, and that was kind of the mentality of the country that I grew up and my family dynamic. So after the ceremony, it's just like a volcano exploded, and it's literally every single emotion that could ever possibly be experienced, like the all came out, and it wasn't just like a few months after. It just continuously like kept like gushing out of me, and it was very difficult experience, because I had to at first like accept the fact that now I have to feel all of this, and I have to, give space and sit through it and process it. And then like it felt like the more you felt it, the more came out. So it was just like a never ending waterfall of just all these emotions coming out. And then after accepting it, just like kind of tried to work through it. So it was a lot. Yeah. And I mean, it was all things that I didn't even know were there. Different types of emotions connected to different experiences, a lot of things from my childhood and my parents, and a lot of sadness, and then the anger, and just so much. And it was pretty overwhelming to deal with while you were there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing this. This is such a big part of the process, and I know that people will understand it so much better now, this type of emotional release the first few months after the ceremony. That's part of the process, and it is very intense, as you said, because we suppress those things for a long time, and now we are feeling it all. That's what you were talking about, and that can be overwhelming, and we call this an emotional roller coaster in the process, and you definitely experience that. What helped you, to navigate and to process this part of your journey, and to deal with this? And then what happened after, like when things started to calm down?
Well, having weekly sessions with you obviously helped a lot, because you will constantly talk me off the edge, and you will help me to explain and understand where the emotions come from, and like that I think I had a really hard time accepting them. Like for me, it was like, why is this happening? I don't really want to feel this. And there's a big part of me that just felt like me feeling that wasn't a good thing, and I shouldn't be feeling all these negative emotions. So I think uh, with your help, just accepting them and understanding that it's not permanent, that it will it's temporary, and also to have a perspective, which you also helped me see that all those emotions that I haven't felt in years, that, you know, I don't know, like 30 years probably, start coming out now. So it's okay for it to be intense, and, you know, for all of these emotions being there for so long and never been felt. It's okay to have it, and just, it's a good thing that it's to feel them and to go through them. And that, I think, what really kept me going, that, and a lot of times I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. But what keep me going is that knowing that it will pass, even though for me, a lot of times it just felt like it's never gonna stop. And I just honestly just totally realized, like, when you telling me that it's gonna pass. And then I was like, okay, so it will pass. And eventually it did. And just and also having different outlets for the emotions helped a lot. Like for anger, to have different tools of how to let them out. You know, journaling, even though I hated it at first, it was a really good tool as well. And things like sadness, and just knowing that you kind of have to just sit through it and let your body feel it without judgment. And, you know, always to remember to be kind to yourself. So those type of things help me through, even though almost every day I would wake up and I would be like, I'm done. But
Yeah.
yeah, I kept
So true. And yeah, it is overwhelming. It is intense to go through that emotional release. And I think that what you said was very important, that you needed that permission. You needed, you know, from somebody, that permission, to give yourself permission to feel and go through them, and don't resist and don't try to stuff them back. Yeah. And, you know, recreate the old pattern by, you know, trying to shove them back when they come from, but just to kind of surrender. That's something I think it's really important to support people, so they can surrender rather than resist into the process, because instinctually you want to resist, you don't want to do it, you know, as you said, it's like, you know, fuck this, you know, like I'm out. So I think that's super important, that permission, you know, giving yourself permission to really go there and go through the experience and feel these things without judgment, without judging them in or yourself that this is something bad. And then the other part that you mentioned was, you know, learning how not to suppress them anymore, which is learning healthy emotional expression, learning tools, having awareness of, okay, what will I do next time when I feel angry or sad, or, you know, whatever is, like, what would be a better way for me to go about this, like I did in the past. So it's not just, you know, this emptying process, but also a type of learning process that you need to go through. Did you feel like that?
Yeah, definitely. And I remember at the beginning of like our therapy, at some point you said that there'll be a point in where I'm able to navigate my own emotions and know how to deal with them, but how to create an outlet for it, and how to manage and how to understand. And I was like, that's never gonna happen. I'm like, that's crazy. And yeah, and here I am now. I can, well, to the best of my abilities. But I think having the tools was amazing. And like things like journaling, and then having my rage sessions that I love. Um, and also like things like breath work and meditation, like a lot of mindfulness practices that I had to implement. I have like 1000% better awareness of my own emotions now than I had before. Before, I feel like I was just like a toddler, you know, just walking around and just feeling whatever, not really knowing like what I'm feeling, what's happening. But now I have like much better awareness, and most of the time I'm able to recognize it and find a way to channel it without projecting it or going completely spiraling, you know.
That's pretty amazing, you know. So congratulations, like, for that. And this is, you know, a result of the good work. And this is, you know, also telling people that this is possible for everybody, you know, even though we didn't learn in the past when we were kids how to do this, you know, in a healthy way. Maybe our parents or teachers still didn't know, but we can relearn things, right? We can find better ways, and we can practice that, and we can change things. And that's very empowering. Do you feel more empowered now that you have this kind of awareness and I don't want to say control over the emotions because people might misinterpret it to suppressing them, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yes. I definitely feel proud. And also you just have a different understanding in terms of like a human psyche and your own like emotions and why you're reacting to certain things. And you can also I find I can empathize a lot better with people because I see things differently. So it definitely helps me a lot, not just connecting with myself, but also connecting with others and not, getting too upset when someone does something I don't like or, judging somebody for feeling a certain way or saying something because now I kind of see the deeper meaning behind it. So it's really powerful, but at the same time, it's challenging at times because you can't turn it off.
Totally, I hear you on that. And this is, as we said, such a big part. I call this reclaiming our right to feel, and to embrace that emotional side of us, and that to create healthy emotional expression. That's one big milestone of the integration. So for people to understand, that's definitely part of your integration. If you never went through this kind of things, what we are talking about, that you haven't really integrated on a deeper level yet, and this is important to understand because we want to back towards this wholeness, and our emotional aspect is part of our wholeness. And as you said, a lot of us conditioned to suppress that and to fragment and separate from that aspect. So definitely you can be proud, and this is a great triumph and a great milestone, in the integration process. At the same time, we work a lot with the intellect and we do a lot of mindset work. Can you share a little bit about what are limiting beliefs? Because I'm sure a lot of people don't know. And if you can remember, or I can remind you of, just a couple of examples, what came up and what does it mean, to work on limiting beliefs and our mindset to create healing and empowerment.
Yeah, I'll try to explain from my understanding what limited beliefs are. So it's essentially from when you're growing up in the environment you're growing up and depending on your parents, but also your life experiences and things like that, that you build certain idea or belief around relationship life, anything basically. And most of the time, or for me, it was the case. It wasn't my belief; it was beliefs of my parents that kind of passed down to me that I didn't even know. And other beliefs were just from certain life experiences that not necessarily represent like the reality it is right now. Um, so
Can you recall any in particular, or would you like me to bring some that we specifically work with?
I think one of the most important ones early on that really helped me to kind of through the process was that I remember change is hard. Like
Yes.
I was like, this is so hard. Like I keep complaining about it. I'm like, change is so hard. I like, why is it so hard? And you're like, well, maybe we can flip it, and it's hard, but also it's other things as well. And when I came to this new belief, and I said, well, change is growth. Like for me, that was I think that was probably the most important one that really, really helped me to change my perspective on things and also to help me with my process for therapy and self development and just understanding myself and going through everything in general in life. So once I stopped thinking that okay, like change is so hard to do and looking at it that it's growth, now it's has like this different outlook on it. And when something happens and there's a change, I don't like think this is like the worst thing. I just be like, okay, so it's growth, so it's good. Like I mean, it might not feel good now, but it's it is for me and it's good for me and it will change me in a good way.
That's awesome. That's a perfect example. Thank you so much for sharing. You explained it in such a beautiful way. Do you remember? I want to mention another one, which I think a lot of people can relate to, which was, I have to be perfect to be loved. Can you
Yeah,
tell about that a little?
yeah, that one was, I mean, I think a lot of people nowadays struggle with perfectionism and that if you're not perfect, then you're not loved, and you always strive to be perfect, but then you realize there's no such thing. There's no such thing as perfection, you know. And was it? Just have to do my best.
Yeah, doing our best is enough. That was, your different take on, the same idea. And yeah, what we did was really reflect, well, inquire into the subconscious, because oftentimes these beliefs are not in the conscious mind. That's why we use like plant medicines to expand our awareness, to become aware of these limiting beliefs. And the reason why we do it and why it's necessary to do this to create change is because these beliefs create a behavior that have consequences. So, beliefs that you mentioned create behaviors like self-doubt, not trusting yourself, people pleasing, lack of boundaries. So these are the consequences of these limiting beliefs. So this is how they manifest and affect our life in a way that most of us don't desire. So like, what was your experience working with these beliefs and becoming aware of those and then shifting those? Like how did that help you? How do you feel that was, a big part of your evolution, and awareness on this journey?
I think it just made me realize that you create your own reality, and your beliefs reflect that reality. So if you're gonna say that life is shit and everything is hard and people are stupid and you hate everyone, well, this is exactly the type of life and type of environment you're gonna be in. And it's just kind of a vicious circle, because it's just everything's gonna happen in your life is gonna be everything that confirms that belief. So flipping it and to change it into something more positive and productive and different outlook, I just realized that it can really change just like even your personality and how you look at things and how you think. Like I remember I used to be such a negative person, just I thought I was like the most pessimistic person on earth. And now it's like I'm completely different. So it just changes. It was just, yeah, like a life-changing, like it's life-changing to understand the how much effect it has on your life, and that you can change your environment and your thoughts and even your personality. Well, you think it's your personality, right? And to make it into something that doesn't have to be so negative and have all this misery and stress and anxiety. So just kind of knowing that you kind of can create your own reality, which is pretty cool.
Well, you absolutely can, no? Isn't that like a powerful feeling?
Yeah,
To know
exactly.
that? Yeah, while before, often we are in a state of victimhood, right? And
Yeah.
blame and the injustice and all that. And what you're really sharing with us now is that, taking your power back and realizing that you have a big part in creating this experience, and you can also have a choice and create a different experience if that's what you wish to, and also how to do that, right? That's why you have the program and the container and the support at the beginning, right? To learn how to do this and how to apply this, in your life for your own good. But before we get to those big breakthrough moments and that find those gems and gifts that we are looking for, first we are going into the underworld. And this journey that we are talking about is really a type of death and rebirth. And the first part of it is that death part, and the second part of it is that is the emergence of that new self. So always, another milestone that we talk about is the dark night of the soul, that is so connected with this work, with this particular medicine. But I think it's the same that a lot of people don't know or don't understand. A lot of people ask me, what is the dark night of the soul? And if I think that they have been in the dark night of the soul. And I always tell them that if you asking me the question, then for sure you haven't been there, because if you have been there, you would know that you were in the dark night. Can you share a little bit, how was that for you? How does that look like, when somebody's going through this point of the journey?
I didn't know it was Dark Night of the Soul until you told me that's what it was. I didn't know like the term of it. But it's, I think what you said, like death, that's what I would say it feels like. It's very dark times, and it was very, very difficult. And I remember every day I would wake up and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna make it. Like it was really, really heavy, and there was so many emotions, and it just felt like it never ending. And you really feel like, for me, it felt like I was just like in this hole in the ground and I can't get out of it. Um and like it felt like every day I was dying. And it, I don't know if I would have made it through, like if you weren't there. But yeah, and then one day you wake up and you're like, oh, I feel okay today. It's just kind of happens, and then and it's I guess it depends on the person how long it lasts. It was probably, well, the most intense part for me was probably like a week or two, where it was like really, really difficult. I've never experienced anything like that ever in my life. I don't know. It was very scary. It was very isolating, and it was, I didn't know what was going on. And at some point, you just don't care what's happening anymore. You just be like, I just want this to be done, and it feels like it's never gonna end. Yeah, so it's, I don't know, it's hard to explain.
That's a good description of that death experience. You know, it's not a physical death, but it's definitely the ending of a lot of things, and that type of grief and, you know, heaviness of that is I think you describe it, you know, in a perfect way. And often you don't even know what is happening, you know, but we move through that. And I think that's why not many people go to this point, you know, and I think that's why people need support, as you said, because you don't want to go there, you know, instinctually. And even if you have awareness, conscious awareness, and say, okay, I don't want to go, but I will go because this will be good for me, it is so scary and overwhelming that that can just stop you, you know, doing that. So why do we do this? You know, what's on the other side when you move through this and all this darkness and the heaviness and the overwhelm and all the processes and the beliefs and stuff like that? When we move into that next phase, you know, how does that look like? How did that look like for you? Just to give people some encouragement, why is it worth, you know, doing this whole thing?
Um, for me, it was, I would say like a rebirth. You are starting everything anew, like starting from yourself. You kind of look at yourself and you're like, I am like a newborn person, and you can decide, you know, how you want to look at life and experience life. And then it's also you trying different things, and you start to understand things more. Like when you're going through like the dark night of the soul, it's so depressing and it's so hard and so emotional. And then when you finally come out of it, it's, you see like a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. So it's very encouraging. um I think it's like more of uh discovery. Like you kind of discover more of who you are, and what do you want in life. And maybe, I mean, you probably won't know it then, but you can start looking, start exploring, and also having an understanding of everything that happened, in terms of like your past and your experiences, your limited beliefs, things like that, helps a lot with moving forward, and also um, seeing things in a very different light and understanding your triggers and things like that. So it's also empowering as well. But it's also, it's kind of like you're thrown up in the air and you don't really know what's going on. Like it's like you shut up in the sky and you're like, okay, we don't know what's happening now. So you're just kind of floating, because like in empty space, because nothing left, right? So yeah, so it's scary, but it's exciting. It's exciting, and then you kind of have this realization that, okay, this passed now, and then it's getting better now, even though you're still scared because you think, okay, is this gonna happen again? Like, am I gonna am I gonna fall back into this? Which, you know, could happen, but for me, it's been like very encouraging to know that you can survive something like that, and then you can learn from it, and now you get to kind of build your life anew, and new and improved.
Yeah, version 2.0, the new and improved version of ourselves. That is so true. And that's why we are doing it. Is like the two words is like self-love and self-empowerment, and you talked a lot about acceptance and compassion, and we didn't go into forgiveness, but that was a big topic too. And that sense of self-empowerment, that you have a say in things, that you have power to shape your experience, that you have a freedom to choose your perspective, and all these kind of things that we talked about, that's what self-empowerment means. And you shared with us that at the beginning you were in a situation when you kind of hated your life, and you were miserable, and miserable with your job, the location, the relationships around you. Can you give a snapshot of your life right now, that what's happening in your life, and kind of where are you, and yeah, what have you been doing recently?
Well, I quit my job. I quit my job, and I don't live where I used to live, and I severed all the relationship that didn't serve me anymore, and I'm basically just traveling around and having fun and exploring and enjoying going on adventures. Yeah, so it's great right now. I feel amazing, and I'm don't know what I want to do, or I don't have any plans, but that's kind of the beauty of it. You kind of understand that you can't really control everything. You just have to, lean into it, and then one step at a time, you'll figure it out. You mightn't figure it out now, but it will come.
Right. I remember this moment when you shared with me that, oh, it's so funny that before you had all this security of the job and the financials, and you controlled everything and figured, and you were so miserable. And then you were in a situation a while ago when there was nothing certain, just go with the flow, who knows what will unfold. And you had zero anxiety, zero depression, zero worrying about it, when you would say that in that situation is more justified to
Yeah.
maybe. So yeah, I'd like to tell us about that a little.
Yeah, it's weird because subconsciously you think by creating everything in your life that provides you with stability, right? Like you have a stable job, and you have a stable relationship, and you have a stable house. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but if those things don't make you really happy, that's not really going to give you the safety that you're looking for. And slowly to letting go on all of it. I thought at first, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have no job, no house, nothing. Like, what am I gonna do? This is absolute madness. And then once that happened, I don't know, like after a week or two, I was like, oh, this is actually great. And then like after a month, I was like, I've never felt better. Like this is great. I can free to do whatever I want. I don't have any expectations of myself. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, but it's kind of liberating, because that stability that you're building is also that you're building yourself kind of like a cage that you put yourself into, and you can't really be free. So it comes with the price, I guess. And then once you let go of it, it's funny because now that you let go of it, it's like I actually feel more safe, and I feel more free and liberated and peaceful than before. Like I don't remember last time I was anxious.
Yes, that's why we are doing this. Just to shout out to our audience, that's why we are doing this, for the freedom, the inner peace, the liberation. That's what we want, instead of the depression, the anxiety, the hopelessness, the misery of the everyday life that, a lot of people experience, and I think can relate to. And these are these results that you can achieve, if you are walking this path, if you really commit to it, if you really go deep with it, and if you have support with it. Because like it's I don't know if you could do it on your own. I always had support on my path. Probably you can, because you can do everything, but why would you, when it's so much easier with the support with another person, and you, as you shared your story, like the listeners could hear how difficult it was even with the personal support, that you were having. So you can imagine, guys, how much worse it is, when you have no idea what's happening or what you should do about it. And yeah, and this is why we're doing these deep dives and these longer processes to create real change that can be observed and measured and clearly seen, what was before and what was after. And if you really do a deep integration, and if you really do this work, your life will change completely. As you said, my life was like before like this, and now it's like that. And the main reason for that is because your values, your priorities change thanks to the new awareness, And I remember that, for you at the very beginning, we talked about what are your values, and it was strength, independence, hardworking. And then after the process, it was compassion, kindness, love, integrity, fearlessness, authenticity, gratitude. This really demonstrates that shift in mindset, in behavior, and in everything that we are talking about here. And that's why you have these results, and this is really a huge undertaking and a huge accomplishment, right? To go through this. Like, how do you feel about yourself, that you went through this experience? How did your relationship to yourself change thanks to this experience?
It changed like dramatically, I think, and it's very common with everyone. I'd say at the beginning, I didn't like myself. I didn't connect with myself. I didn't know who I am. I would even say maybe there was part of me that hated myself. There was just a lot of judgment and a lot of being hard on myself, and just a lot of pressure, negativity, criticism. There was definitely no compassion or kindness or empathy and love. And now it definitely, I like myself, and I mean, it's still a process. I'm not going to say that I'm, 100% love myself and I never have negative thoughts. I still do, but now I have an awareness of it. And I always try to catch myself if I'm being critical, being too hard on myself, and always to remember to be kind, and to, just have empathy to myself first, and, my inner child too. And to always start with like loving you starting from loving yourself, and then you can truly love others. So just lots of kindness and self-love. It's still hard to do, and not to be judgmental and criticize yourself, because that's just partially the society we live in, But I think I've come a really long way from who I was before, and how I viewed myself, and how I look at myself now, and how I even talk to myself in my head, your inner voice. It's completely different things. And before it was just always just criticism and this and that. And now it's more, you've done enough. It's okay. You're doing your best. It's really more positive thoughts.
Yes, thank you so much. This is so true. I think so many of us at the beginning we are looking for that love and compassion and kindness and all those things, from other people, from the external, and that's the kind of journey that we are on. And it's just, one of the biggest teachings, right, of this path is to realize that it all starts with you, and it all starts within, and actually you have this all within yourself, and to connect with that part of you, who embodies that, instead of, being trapped in the more conditioned aspects of ourselves. And that's, it's all about love. We say that you are the healer and love is the medicine. That's kind of my motto in this work. Like, do you agree with that now in retrospect?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. What would be your message to people who are called to work with the Mother Ayahuasca and to go on this deeper journey?
just do it. I think everyone should do it. Like literally everyone in the world should do it. If you feel like this is something that's calling you, then just don't listen to your fears. I think that's one of the things that I learned as well, that your fears will try to stop you from change and from doing something different. And sometimes it's good, but most of the time it just stops you from growing and experiencing. So just don't listen to your fears, and just try to really listen to like what your inner voice saying. So if you really call to it, do it, and you won't regret it. It's gonna be the best. I mean, it's gonna be challenging, but you're gonna think a year from the day you do it, that like you're happy you did it.
Yeah, it's worth doing it, right? That's what we are going for, that love and freedom, and that, to learn to enjoy your life a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
And definitely we are getting there. It's all a journey. So thank you so much. Is there anything that you would like to share that is on your mind?
I don't know. I just feel like I'm really grateful, like just looking back at all the times that I was feeling really like shit. And I thought like this is it. Like I'm not gonna make through any of this, and fuck all of this, and all the hard times, and looking back. And it's only been, like you said, it was 15 months to go through such a drastic transformation in such a short, now looking back, it seems like a short period of time. It's amazing. And I'm really grateful for the experience and everything, and just having your support as well. Like I said, I would have not done it without you. That's for sure. So I'm just really grateful, and I'm very peaceful and grateful from where I am in my life right now. And I would have done it, knowing everything that I know now, I would still done it again.
Awesome. That's the best recommendation for sure. And to see, this flowering and this new beginning where you're heading right now. So we're going to keep in touch and hear from you from the future as well. And for our audience, if you are interested to doing this type of deep dive, connect with me through avatarhealingarts.com. And if you ever experience this type of journey, leave your comments, tell us what happened to you, what were your gifts, your challenges on this journey. We would love to hear from you. And I hope we see you next time. Stay tuned for our next episode, and have a beautiful, wonderful day. Thank you, sister.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening, and leave a comment if you enjoyed this episode. Help us grow our community by sharing this episode with your friends, and subscribe to our channel to receive the latest on Ayahuasca Assisted Therapy. To embark on your healing journey or to start a new career in Psychedelic Assisted Therapy, go to my website, avatarhealingarts.com, and get in touch. And of course, stay tuned for the next episode.